So are you ready to PR yourself? We'll remove the mystery from all things PR, and we'll discuss everything from our top strategies to tips and tricks and everything that you can utilize to further enhance your brand or your message. I've been in media, I'm a journalist, and I'm also a publicist. I am Leah Frazier, CEO of Think3 Media, and your host for PR Yourself with Leah Frazier. Let's go. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to PR Yourself with Leah Frazier. You guys, listen, you guys are blowing my mind. We just received notification that this podcast is in the top 30, number 29 actually, in the US for marketing podcasts and in the top 100 in Canada for marketing podcasts. So thank you to each and every one of you faithful listeners. Thank you guys for sharing this out. Thank you for interacting with me. Thanks for sharing it on social media. We're just extremely grateful that this project has reached the levels that it has in such a short period of time. So thank you again. And I want you guys to just get interactive. Go on pryourselfwithleahfrazier.com. Leave me a message and let me know if you have an episode suggestion or there's something going on with your business that you want me to bring in the experts to help and tell you how to PR it better. Again, get involved. You're going to go to the link in my bio at the Leah Frazier on Instagram, and I have a whole list of things you can do. You can join our private Facebook group. In that group, I go live. I tell you what's hot and trending in social media and marketing and PR. I put media leads in there. There's one I've got to do today. And you're also going to want to interact with the other women. And I think we have some men in that community now. I'm in that private Facebook community, okay? Because I'm going to start growing that so that you guys can discuss among yourselves how to PR yourselves better as we move through 2021 and beyond. Also, if you're interested, we still have the monthly membership available. It's only $49 a month, and you can find information on that at think3media.com/think3edu. That is our monthly membership where I literally do a class session like I would teach with my students at the university. I do a class session on what's hot in marketing and public relations. I give you your takeaways. I give you something to work on for 30 days. And then several weeks later, we come back and we mastermind as a group to make sure that we're working on that one thing that you need to get worked on for that month. And we continue that monthly. And it's a great resource and it's a great way, an affordable way for you to hear from me. I bring in experts and also for you to have accountability. That way you're working through for solutions for your small business or as an entrepreneur. And lastly, you're going to want to stay tuned. Yes, pryourselfbook.com. You're going to want to sign up for that as we get closer to the book being released. But also you're going to want to go to PR Yourself with leahfrazier.com online. There's a tab called course, and you're going to want to sign up there because I am re-releasing my live course one last time. I know I said that before. I'm going to do it again. I have just revised it. I've created a couple more modules, and it's really going to go into a little bit more of an organized depth on how you can earn free media and press coverage consistently for your small business and your brand. And again, it's super duper affordable, and I want to offer that to you guys. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. And enjoy this latest episode, and I look forward to hearing from you all. Welcome back to another episode of PR Yourself with Leah Frazier, and I have a very special guest. I say this every time, but I'm being for real this time. I'm so excited because she's multifaceted and killing it. And when we talk about, I know some of you guys hate the term like boss babes, girl boss, or whatever, but however you epitomize that, this woman does that her voice when you hear it on the radio. She started a company. I was able to interview her. She got into fashion. She's an entrepreneur, just amazing. You know her as Kellie Rasberry from the Kid Craddock in the Morning Show, 106.1 FM, but also nationally syndicated. Thank you so much, Kellie, for coming on my little project, my podcast project. Thank you.
Oh, it's a big project, and thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I'm so excited to talk to you for one because so many people just fangirl over you, but um,
Hmm.
I love the fact that when I got to know you is more so when you were launching into your own venture, and I think that's so inspirational for our group of listeners that listen to PR Yourself podcast because so many feel guilty if they are pigeonholed into maybe corporate or into one thing. And I feel like when you launched that and we got to sit down when you with Emma, Kelly, and me, and the retail component and e-commerce, I just felt like it was almost kind of publicly giving people permission to have to experience these multifaceted sides of themselves. So talk to me a little bit about, everybody knows you from radio, but for those that don't, tell us a little bit about what you do day to day, and then let's talk a little bit about your latest venture.
All right. Well, back in the day before I got into radio, I used to work retail all the time. My parents owned several businesses, shoe store, Western wear when that was all the rage right after Urban Cowboy. My dad was he had his own used car lot. So I've been working retail since I was 13 because I liked earning money. And so I just started doing that. And then as I got older, I worked at Belt Department Store. So retail wasn't something that was foreign to me. I always loved it. But then I got into radio when I was 19, and that's what I've been doing ever since. But within the past few years, we've also expanded that into podcasting. Our boss, George, sees that that's kind of the direction where media is going, digital streaming and things like that. So my husband and I launched a podcast called A Sandwich and Some Lovin'. Let's see, this June will be 4 years ago. And then last February, I launched a second podcast called Love Letters to Kellie, just an extension of what I already do on the Kid Craddock Morning Show. But before that, my husband and I were talking. I guess I need to backtrack a little bit. Someone had an online boutique and they asked me if I would help them, like, be, I guess you'd call it a brand ambassador. I don't really know that I was necessarily that, but she wanted me to help her market her business online. And so I would put on an outfit and say, here's the link to her shop. And it was going really well for her. And my husband finally said, well, if you're doing this for someone else, why don't we do this for ourselves? Why don't we do this for you? And at the time, my daughter was what, 12 years old, 13. And as a mom of a preteen girl, it was really hard for me to find clothes that weren't over sexualized, that were appropriate for her age group, that she still wanted to wear. So my vision was, let's start this online company called Emma, Kelly, and Me. And I would, try to find clothes that my daughter would love, that I would still approve of, and also carry things for women. And I also was going to carry accessories. So we started with the handbags, which we still do today. But then reality kicked in, and I started going to market, and I just was paralyzed. Um, it's overwhelming if you've never done anything like this before, to go to market and just all these clothes are they're everywhere. It's like, what do you decide? And I, picked a few things. It was just very nerve wracking, and then the purses and things was a no-brainer, but the clothes for me got to be just a really overwhelming thing. And then it got to be like about price points, because for me, with my reputation, I'm not a very flamboyant spender. People think of me as a big money saver and a penny pincher, and I like to find a good bargain. But I can't compete with online retailers like TJ Maxx and Nordstrom Rack and things like that. And so in order to sell clothes that my listeners would be comfortable paying the price, I was going to have to sell really cheap quality merchandise, and I didn't want to do that. So when COVID hit, it was almost, like a lot of negative, horrible things happened with COVID, but it also, I think some positive things came out of COVID. It caused us to really slam the brakes on the online marketing and really evaluate where we were with that, with my online retail business. And I told my husband, I said, look, this is just not bringing me joy. This is not what I thought it was going to be. Perhaps I should have done a lot more research and homework before we just, launched an online business. And I have mad respect for women who do it and do it well. There are some ladies in the Dallas area that I follow on Instagram, and I'm just blown away by the amount of work and detail they put into their online businesses, and I just wasn't able to do that. So we've kind of put a pause on Emma, Kelly, and me. We're not letting it go away because my brother and I, my husband and I, see the value in what that is and what it could be. But we're going to have to probably revisit the idea, and probably, like I was talking to you, Leah, inspirational items like inspirational t-shirts, or still sticking with the accessories, but not the original concept of what it started off to be. And I'm not really embarrassed by it. I mean, yeah, do I wish it had been, gone gangbusters and it would have been this, multi-million dollar business? Yeah, of course. But I learned a lot of what it really was, and it wasn't what I thought it was. And so it was a good learning experience. But it's not over. You probably didn't expect for me just to talk for 10 minutes straight, but there you go.
No, Kelly, no, I'm just totally invested in the conversation, because I think sometimes I'm so glad that you don't have the embarrassment and the shame, or because sometimes as entrepreneurs, if we launch things and they don't go as we plan or we fail, there's this shame attached to it. And it's like, no, how can I reevaluate? We talked about this word, how can we pivot? And
Yeah.
how can we do something that's bigger and better? And I love that you just had the transparency to share that. But I do want to talk about what were some of those things that were unexpected, because you talked about not having that joy. What were some things that came along with that you were like, I'm not in for that?
Right. Well, you'd think, if you just imagine any woman, and men, I shouldn't just say women, but you think, man, to be a buyer for, a department store or something like that, that must be really exciting, right? And now I get to go buy all the things that I love and sell those things. But it's not that simple, because when you go out as a buyer for an online boutique, it's not always necessarily about what you would wear, because what I would wear, half the country wouldn't. So I have to buy things that not necessarily I cared about or cared for, but that I thought maybe other women would. And so that was a really difficult thing to wrap my brain around, because then I'd have, my husband, I took a couple, like my sister-in-law and another woman, friend of mine who's in marketing, and they would go with me. And I would look at a piece of clothing and I was like, but I hate it. I mean, I hate it. They would say, but Kelly, we know there's a lot of women out there that would buy this. And I was like, yeah, but then if I put it on my website, my store, that's almost like me saying, but I love this, but I don't love it. So it was a real contradictory thing there for me too, because when you're buying stuff to sell, it's not always about what you like. I guess that's true for like interior decorators or anything like that. You've got to take your customer's taste into consideration, right? And they might want to paint a wall purple, and you're like, but I hate purple. Well, the client says, but I love purple. Okay, we gotta have to make purple work. So I guess it's the same thing with buying clothes for your online business. So what happened for me was, when I went to Dallas Market, and it's just thousands of all these people here trying to sell you their clothes. And I'm looking at this stuff and I'm like, I hate it. I hate it. Or if I loved it, I was like, well, that's too expensive. My shopper, the person that listens to Kelly Rasberry on the radio, isn't going to pay $100 for this cute top. They might pay 20, but the top that I'd have to buy to be able to sell for 20, it might fall apart after one washing because it was made so cheaply. See, so I was caught in that dilemma there.
Right.
And so it just was so stressful. It was so stressful for me. And I thought that would be the fun part. I thought the fun part would be the shopping and the picking out stuff to sell. And it was overwhelmingly stressful. And then, so then my husband and I, we were just working literally out of our garage. And, the orders would come in, and at first, man, they were just exploded. We right out the gate, we just sold out of everything. And because I didn't really know, at first you're testing the waters. Well, how much do I order? I can't order 500 pieces. What if we're stuck with 400? We can't sell. So we kind of under ordered at first, and then we sold out of everything. And it was, like, wow, how do we figure this out? And we were working nonstop at first. But it was just like, it wasn't fun. Leah, it wasn't fun. And I'm like, it was one thing if it was my number one business. If this was like okay, I've got to make this work because I've got to put food on the table and I got to pay my mortgage. But it wasn't that. For me, it was like a fun little side project that I thought I could do with my daughter. Well, guess what? My 13-year-old daughter didn't want to do it with me. She wasn't interested. And so that concept went out the window. But I've talked to other women who were so gracious to me. They saw me, I mean, literally, I was walking around Market and I must have looked like I was in severe distress because I wear my feelings on my face, apparently, and my emotions on my face. And I had women stopping me and saying, "What can I help you with? You look like you're in trouble. What can I help you with?" And offered right there on the spot to mentor me. And I mean, like this lady, if you ever want to shop, the sweetest lady that was so nice to me, she has the Zigzag Stripe Boutique. She started off in her bedroom, just her and her husband. And I mean, they started from nothing. And she now has this huge warehouse, this huge operation in Arlington, Texas. She is a multi-million dollar business. And she started in her bedroom and she offered to be my mentor. And so I had so many women who were willing to help and share their knowledge and share the wealth. There was no spirit of like, well, I can't share my secrets with you because you're the competition. I didn't experience that at all. So I was really pleased with that. But again, this wasn't my primary source of income. And it was making me so stressed out. It's like, why am I doing this? And my husband's like, yeah, why are we doing this? So the purses, the accessories, the inspirational items, those things get me kind of excited. That gets me excited. But the clothing thing did not. So yeah, we're just going to reevaluate that and come out another way. But like I said, Leah, it wasn't my primary income. It would be a totally different conversation we'd be having right now because I would have had to find a way to make it work and to wrap my brain around making it work. But when it's not your income, it's just your side hustle.
Right.
That changed things for me mentally. So it was easier for me just to kind of let that go.
But I'll tell you this, Kelly, if it makes you feel any better, and anybody listening, I mean, there's listeners from all over the world. If you've never been to Dallas Market Center,
Oh my God, overwhelming.
walk in there like, I thank God for CBD because that is exactly what I would put under my tongue before I would walk in there. It's
Seriously.
like 18 floors, and then on like, or however many, and then on each floor, you've got hundreds of vendors, and God bless them. Like they put they map it out and tell you on floor 11 is women's contemporary. That's great, but you have 100 vendors in women's contemporary, and then you have showrooms on level 12, and before you know it, just like you said, Kelly, unless you're there or you have somebody that can show you the ropes, it is completely overwhelming.
It was. It was. And there were so many women there shopping and buyers just filled with the joy of the Lord. They were loving every minute of it. And that's because they were doing what they were meant to do. And then you've got me walking around almost on the verge of tears, like, I don't know which way to turn. And I was like, it wasn't feeling good. It wasn't feeling good in my gut. And that's okay. You know, sometimes we have to realize that maybe what we thought we wanted wasn't at all what we expected. And it's okay. You don't have to stick to something just because, you know, here I am on a national radio show and on a national platform. Well, guess what I'm going to do? You know, it could have been really embarrassing, but I guess with age comes wisdom with that kind of stuff. And I just, you know, it hasn't defeated me at all. I mean, it's a little ding. Yeah, a little ding to my ego, I guess. But coming out the gate, it was very successful. But still, even you see the most successful people that still aren't happy. It's like, then why are you doing it? If you could be making you see millionaires that are miserable. Well,
Yeah.
then why are you miserable? Is it your job? Are you not fulfilling your purpose? Find a way to pivot and make it joyful for you, you know?
Yeah, and as you're talking, I was like, I now have the title of this episode. It's called Permission to Pause.
Yeah, exactly.
And sometimes we're so hard on ourselves, and I love that. And people don't realize that companies, organizations, personal brands, people rebrand all the time.
All the time.
Find that thing, like you said, that they love, brings them joy, and then no one wants to start a business and not make money, and that they can also monetize. And so I'm excited to see just in what way you connect yourself, your joy to the Emma Kelly and Me brand, and what new direction it's going to take. I'm really excited.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, it's not dead in the water. It's just floating for a minute. We're going to put it on pause.
I mean, is there any other tips or advice you can give to entrepreneurs? And it doesn't even really have to do with business. It could be within your personal experiences where there's other areas we just need to maybe slow down, reevaluate what makes us happy. Or is there any other advice that you can give along those lines? Because I love this theme because there's so much pressure from the outside world, social media,
Yeah.
everything.
Well, I'll tell you what, just in my experience, what I found, I think a lot of times women get this reputation of being very catty and very competitive. And yeah, there's that element. That's true for men too. Men are very competitive as well. But just to find, I mean, I know you're talking to all business people here, men and women alike, but just to find those women that, for me, that were so encouraging and they offered their mentorship and they offered their help. I wish I kind of went about it backwards. I went ahead and dived in and decided I was doing this and then went and did the homework. I did it backwards. I should have done the homework and the research and found the mentorship before I dived in, right? I kind of did that a little backwards. But there are so many people out there who are willing to help, and sometimes you just got to ask for it, right? Don't You're not an expert on everything out of the gate, but and some people will tell you no, but you'd be surprised at how many people are just so willing to share what they've learned and share their mistakes so you can kind of avoid making some of those yourself. You're going to make mistakes, but maybe you can avoid some of the bigger ones if you talk to someone who's already done it. Find somebody who's already succeeding in the field where you want to be, and ask for help. And then not being afraid to just, if you see it's failing and it's going the wrong way, rather than just pouring more money into it and, keep failing, just stop for a minute, pause, tap the brakes, reevaluate. We just liquidated all of our clothes. That's what we did when we decided this is not making me feel good. I'm not happy. We put everything on sale, got rid of it, and just took a deep breath. And it's like, okay, now we've got some time to think and reevaluate. But if something's failing, don't just keep throwing money at it and keep chasing it until it feels good, because I think those are signs that it's not where you're supposed to be. But as far as other advice I'd give, don't be, what's a little embarrassment? Embarrassment, everybody can deal with it. Embarrassment's not going to kill you. Everybody loves, a good comeback story, right? We cheer for the comeback stories. So yeah, be embarrassed, learn to laugh at yourself, because it takes a lot of the sting out of it when you can make a little fun of yourself, at that, and not be the butt of the joke at everybody's joke. And I guess that's just about the extent of the advice I could give on the subject, Leah. I don't know if I have anything else to offer advice wise.
No, I think that's super encouraging. And I think it would be fun to see, just like you said, like kind of where this goes. And then it would be even cooler to get Emma Kelly's take on it.
Yeah, she's 14 now, and I'd love to do a project with my daughter, but you can't force your kid to do something they don't want to do. I took her with me one time to market, and it was like pulling teeth. And it's like, again, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this to her, to me? It wasn't like she came to me and said, Mom, I really want to do this with you. I was kind of forcing a dream on her, and it wasn't her dream.
Right.
So it's, I guess the universe, God, everybody's saying, Kelly, come on. Come on now. What are you doing here? But I think there's still something there. It's just not what I thought it was.
Well, definitely keep me in the loop. I'd love to run a story
Oh,
with her.
I will. I promise. I was telling you, Leah and I just ran into each other at an event over the weekend. My husband, we have the podcast, A Sandwich and Some Lovin', and we were like, we have such a loyal fan base there, and they want merch. I mean, people, when they're fans of what you do, they want t-shirts, they want hats, they want koozies, they want all the stuff. And so my husband and I have some things that we say that have become things we say. And so we thought about doing a line of t-shirts and hats and things like that that are not necessarily, gonna I'm not gonna set the fashion world on fire with a motivational t-shirt, but people love that stuff.
I
So
do.
I
And
think,
I like your story behind it because yours said "Get It, Babe," and then you were able to tell the story and what Alan says, and
yeah, that's one of
that's
the
really cool.
that's one of the phrases. My husband, kind of, as it started off as a little joke, but whenever I do anything, like he'd take me to the gym to work out with him, and he'd kind of, every time I'm over there pumping iron, he'd say, "Get it, babe." And I'm like, okay. And then if I'm walking the dogs and I'm really putting a little extra effort, he's like, "Get it, babe." No, whatever I'm doing, he says, "Get it, babe." Even if I'm playing, Best Fiends on the phone, "Get it, babe." So we're like, you know what? He's my cheerleader. He's my man telling me you can do it. So we're going to put "Get It, Babe" on. We've already, ordered some t-shirts. But again, here you go, Leah. We ordered from a t-shirt vendor and they run super small. And it's like, okay, now I've got to tell all my women who think I'm a small. I'm like, no, you're not in this t-shirt. You better, you better order a medium or a large, and it's just like, here you go again.
There you go.
When you order merchandise and things, and especially when it's online and a woman gets in the shirt and it doesn't fit, well, then you got to send it back and you got to deal with returns and stuff. And you're like, oh, this isn't fun anymore.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's just something we're going to do. And moving forward, that's what we're going to do. Inspirational kind of t-shirts, fun merchandise. But, the purses I love. I spent years and years trying to find the perfect animal print purse. And when I finally found it, I was like, ooh, I want to share this with everybody. So I worked with the gentleman, Zach, at Parker and Hyde, and he does clutches with me, which those are still for sale on Emma, Kellie, and Me. And I got them at a great price point. So I'm proud. I mean, they're $100, they're $99, but these are, Brazilian cowhide made, but, they get the skins from Brazil, but they're made in Dallas, they're made in America, which I love that. And so I'm still proud to sell those and put my name on those. So if you want to go to emmakellieandme.com right now, buy all the clutches you want, but coming soon, there will be more merchandise to share as well. And I'll let you know when that happens, Leah.
Well, I want to thank you so much, Kellie, for your time. And before we head out, I'm definitely going to give you a chance to replug all of your projects. But I personally want to tell you, because I believe in just letting people know their impact. And I'm sure I mean, you've affected so many people in a positive way throughout the course of your career. But I first came in contact with you and the Kid Craddock morning show. I remember exactly where I was, what grade I was in, what was playing on the radio. Like it was that impactful for me. I'll just say Ace of Base. That's all I can say.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And then when like the Friends song came out, like it was just so cool because Kiss FM was always playing like these cool songs. But from a kid that grew up in Oak Cliff, predominantly Black school, Black neighborhood, it was a step outside of my comfort zone when I moved to Arlington, and I was in a very diverse school, and Kiss FM was what they were listening to, and I was sneaking on my Walkman and listening to I'll have to put a link to a Walkman in the caption, but
yeah, I know those.
I was sneaking and listening to Kiss FM in the morning because it was new to me. And culturally, I feel like it just helped me to expand. It helped me to be a more well-rounded and diverse person, whether it was the type of music you guys were playing, and just to unapologetically kind of explore the world like that. When I think about it, I'm like, that's why I can say I know exactly where I was when I first turned it on Kiss and learned about not just Black music or Black culture, but there's this type of music. There was like Ace of Base. There was like this weird techno stuff going on. And I'm like,
yeah,
but I like it and it's cool. And then to hear you weigh in, and Kid was so funny. And like,
I know.
It was just, it impacted me in a big way. And I just want you to know that throughout the legacy of your career, even though this is permission to pause, I think you've given people permission to grow into themselves and to explore different facets of themselves and to just be themselves. And so thank you for giving that gift to
Well,
me.
that's so sweet, Leah. I'll tell you, I've been, this May will be my 27th anniversary with the Kid Craddock Morning Show on Kiss FM. And, we're nationally syndicated now. But when I came to Dallas, I was just, come from South Carolina, country as I could be, very naive, very unfiltered, which is why Kid hired me. When I listen back to tapes of me from back then, I'm like, wow, maybe I shouldn't have been quite as forthcoming with my opinions on certain things. So that's why he started having me do love letters to Kellie, because I would just, if somebody asked me for advice, I didn't sugarcoat it at all. I was just kind of very harsh. But over the years, I've kind of softened a little bit on some of my positions. Everything's not as black and white as it once was to me. There's a lot of shades of gray, for me now. But I will tell you, some of the biggest compliments I get is hearing from, like your story. I'll go out now and I'll speak at an event, and someone will come up to me and say, Kellie, when I was a little girl, I remember listening to you. I would ride in the back seat of my mom's car when she took me to school, and we would laugh and have so much fun listening to you. And now I want you to introduce you to my little girl, who is now sitting in the back seat when I take her to school. So now, I'm 3 generations deep with this family, right? And it doesn't make me feel old at all. It makes me feel so incredibly blessed, because Kid brought me to Dallas, and I've been able to be a part of so many people's memories. And, when we leave this earth, when I retire from radio, when I die, what more could you ask for than to be a part of people's really great, warm and fuzzy memories from growing up listening to the radio? So they're not going to remember, that shirt I sold them on EmmaKellieandMe.com didn't fit them, but they're going to remember, the Kid and me making them laugh when they were, 10 years old in the backseat of their mom's car, which I just think that's the biggest blessing I've had in my life.
And I will say that is one of the greatest ways to PR yourself, especially when you have legacy and impact with people from all over the world. So
Yeah, it's sweet. It's
congrats
sweet.
to you, Kellie. And
Thank you, Leah.
for those, like I said, we have people all over. And so how can they follow you and tune in and catch up with you?
Well, we've plugged EmmaKellieandMe.com to death, but it's EmmaKellieandMe.com. If you want to keep up with, like I said, that's the retail side of what I'm going to do. But my husband and I, we have a podcast called A Sandwich and Some Lovin'. And I guess I kind of need to explain that. It started off being about relationships. We started it a month before we got married, and we were both coming from previous marriages, and we were having a blended family with kids. And it was going to be kind of focused on relationships. And, the old joke about how, women need to discuss feelings and dive deep into, the intention behind things. We need closure, and all men want to be happy in a relationship is food and sex. So basically, we couldn't call the podcast Food and Sex. So we called it A Sandwich and Some Lovin'. So that's the premise of why we call it that. But you can find that anywhere you download podcasts. And also Love Letters to Kellie is an advice show that I have, again, anywhere you download a podcast. And then the Kid Craddock Morning Show, if you want to find out where you can listen. We call our members Kid Nation, a part of Kid Nation, KIDD Nation. If you go to kidnation.com, there's a button there you can click where you can listen, and it'll tell you how you can find us there.
Well, thank you so much, Kellie. I'm going to let you get back to your day. You guys know what to do. If this impacted you in any kind of way, you can reach out to me, Leah at think3media.com. I love forwarding all of your sweet messages on to our guests. You want to subscribe, hit that subscribe button. Some of you guys are just listening and hustling off all this good advice, not leaving a rating or a review. So,
oh no.
Yeah, you got to hit that rating and review button, because that allows us to bring in amazing guests, which I can't even tell y'all. April is going to be just phenomenal. But subscribe, rate, review, share this out. Hit us up on social media at PR Yourself Podcast on Instagram, or contact us through the site pryourselfwithleahfrazier.com. Thank you for tuning in. Enjoy your day. And until next time.